And welcome into Racing News Now's first race shop tour right here from RFMS Racing. We're joined by the fine folks that make RFMS Racing happen, and we'll just go around the horn here and they'll introduce themselves to you and let you know what they do.
Dan Claus, crew chief of the RFMS Racing ARCA car.
I'm Casey Swift, car chief of the RFMS Racing ARCA car.
I'm Misty Fike. I'm the marketing and communications director.
I'm Don Fike. I'm the owner of RFMS Racing.
And I'm Travis Braden, driver for RFMS Racing.
Now that we've met everybody, we're going to move into the actual shop tour. Travis is going to show us around here, show us everything there is around the shop here, and then we'll get to know some of these fine folks a little better after that. So stick with us.
This is the office headquarters, RFMS Racing. It's barely big enough for the three of us to stand in here and do this, but this is where, I take care of some of the stuff, and any sort of paperwork we got to do, we come in here and try to keep it organized and all in one place. We store some of our stuff that we don't really have room for out on the shop floor, and it's got some of the great history of what the team has done on the walls. So. Which most of the stuff in here, it's got a little bit of Aaron and AJ in stock cars, but mostly open wheel stuff.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then out here, this is kind of our inventory of, any sort of supplies that we need. All our stuff that we take on the road with us, we kind of store it in here, drinks and food and snacks, and anything that we, again, don't want to be out here in our way every day, this is where it goes. So the weird thing for us, like our rig's in the shop, a lot of guys have their rigs in the shop, but it basically goes right down the center of where we work. So we have some storage over there. It's a lot of the old open wheel stuff still, as you can see. And then, believe it or not, we actually work out of the trailer quite a bit. We don't have a separate shop box and a pit box. Everything that we use tools wise goes with us on the road, and it comes back out and we use it in the shop. So we kind of gather here as a group. There's just three of us in the shop, Dan, Casey, and I. Every morning we sit down, have a breakfast, or if we're not eating, we just kind of start the day off with a conversation. What's going on? Anything new? Obviously some jokes and what happened last night, if it was Friday or Saturday night. But
Yep.
And honestly, it's cool being in Brownsburg because there is a lot of race teams.
Right.
So we get people that'll stop over sometimes in the evening, and again, usually you sit down around the round table and you tell stories. And so that's what we do. And right now we have our 5th place championship trophy from last year, and we made a decision after the banquet that's going to sit right there until next year, and it's like a motivation piece to say, hey, we need a bigger one.
Yeah.
So
You always need some motivation.
yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So I don't know if you want to pan around, but like there's kind of a whole shop when you first walk in. Again, there's stuff behind the trailer, but there's not much back there. And we do sometimes work out of the trailer, but right now we have everything out on the floor pretty much. And then, sorry to split you, but so this year we actually, over the winter, one of our big projects was we shifted some stuff around. I think when you were here last, a lot of our storage on the wall there was different. And so we kind of revamped some stuff. We wanted to bring up our organization. So now we have 4 bays, 4 cars, and each car has its own set of stuff. Sounds trivial, but at times it was like everything would be in one spot for all 4 cars, and so you had to go look for which piece you needed. And so that took us some time, but we have set ourselves up where now every race we know which car comes out and goes where, and we can just, everything we need, whether it's assembly or disassembly, can go together. And it's already kind of shown where it makes things a lot quicker for us, being just 3 of us. We don't have to go looking for each other or call. If one of us is in the shop for some reason, you normally don't have to call and ask where something is now. And so again, sounds trivial, but it's the stuff that we're always trying to progress with. So again, right now we got 4 cars. Just to walk you down through, this is our 1.5 mile car. It's really the only car that's not completely assembled yet. So that'll get run at Charlotte for the first 1.5 mile race, and then it'll run everywhere: Pocono, Chicago, Michigan, all the big tracks. The second car is our short track car, primary car. So it's not completely done, but it's basically 98% finished. We still have, we got to put some ducts in it and just touch up on the last few things. The seat is not installed yet, so but that car goes to Nashville next.
Oh, okay.
This third car is our Daytona and Talladega car, and slash like a backup as well for some of the big tracks. So it doesn't have an engine in it, but it's, besides the engine, it's ready to go for Talladega. You just have to pop an engine back in it and set it back on the ground, and it's all ready to go. And so really how we work, there's actually technically another bay there, and this is our setup bay.
Okay.
So this one is always rotating. That car would actually go at the very end, and this is our old short track car, which is now, we raced it in Pensacola. We're gonna race it in Salem, and then it'll get raced as a backup and stuff at times, and dirt car and all that. But it's kind of getting cycled around to being different. Its purpose is changing.
Okay.
And so as you can see, one of the things we did this year was we don't have a surface plate, and so we came in and we built essentially ourselves a surface plate on some stands. And
Now, for folks that may not know, explain what a surface plate exactly is for.
So, it seems trivial again, but on a race car, you're looking at everything, trying to be consistent, and you're trying to document things. And what happens is on these floors, they sink and there's low spots. It's kind of hard on a concrete floor. And pretty much any race shop you go to will have a surface plate, which is a big sheet of steel, basically. They put it into the ground essentially and level it all and make it perfectly flat, level, smooth. Gives you a good surface to reference, and you don't have to worry about any sort of variance in it from one week to the next.
Okay.
And so we didn't have that, and it's minor, but it is something that at times you you get to the racetrack and you go through tech and the car's a little too low, and you have to change it, and you never want to be doing that stuff on these cars. You want to get to the racetrack and be right, and you don't want to have to adjust before you even start practice.
Right.
And so. That was one of my personal goals that I came up with that I wanted to focus on. So the guys helped me. We built ourselves a set of stands, and they're actually multi-purpose for us because they're 10 inches off the ground. So we can do any sort of work on them. You can measure to the ground, and it's a good ballpark. You just take 10 off the number, and that's your height of whether it's a suspension assembly or anything you're doing. So that's a great addition for us just to keep things a little more technical and fine-tuned, which is going to become more important as we finally start winning some of these races
Definitely.
in 2019. So that's where our setup happens, your initial scale, heights, anything that you do there. And once it's all done, then we'll move it over to here, which is the pull-down rig. Again, that's going to rotate, obviously, every race. We will always pull down our primary, usually pull down our backup car unless we don't have time. It's kind of an old version of what a lot of guys have nowadays, but it gets the job done for us. And that was a great addition that we were able to pull into sort of towards the end of last year. We got that.
Okay.
We've learned a ton using that. So that's great for us. This is like fab section / a little bit of storage over there with our tires and all that stuff. So any sort of fab you gotta do, pretty much come back here. Almost everything we could ever need. Drill press, shear, brake, everything's here. And we got a decent table to work on. And kind of one of the convenient things about having a small shop is you can be working back here and be right back to the car almost instantly. It's not, you don't have to go to a separate section of the shop like some of these guys do. So
yeah.
That's nice because we don't have just a fab guy. Casey, our car chief, he's technically probably the best fabricator we have. and so he focuses on that. But we all have to fabricate stuff at times. So it's nice to be able to be so close. So yeah, this pit box is sitting here. It kind of rotates as well. Whichever car we're working on, we'll just roll it to the front of that car. We don't have multiple toolboxes. We just use that.
So this is the one you take to the races too, correct?
Take to the races, and honestly, I'm not saying that in a negative way, because it's kind of nice that we always use that box, because on race weekends, I've only been here for a year and a half, but those guys have been using this box forever. And even myself, pretty much anything we could ever need, or if someone's asking, hey, do you guys have this? We're like in a pinch, we need it. It's probably in that box, and I know right where it's at. And if I don't, those two guys for sure know where it's at.
Right.
So it does actually help us, really, being so small, to use just the one box. And then I guess we can pop over here. So again, the trailer's right in the middle of the way, kind of, but store our fuel and tires and everything. And then if you look kind of back behind, just a little more storage. A lot of that stuff's not in use anymore, those tires and all, but that's kind of like that cabinet, is just little things that you may need one day, but you probably aren't going to use, so you put it all in there. And then if you're looking for something that's not out here, that's where we end up looking. So.
Okay.
Trying to think what else there is to show you. Again, we kind of have everything behind each car, and then any sort of inventory of whether it's brake parts, suspension parts. You can look over there, it's kind of all on those shelves. And then I guess we'll just come back over here. So this is all stuff that we pretty much plan on using at some point. That's why it's out here. But we have a little bit more of the same stuff upstairs, which I'll show you guys here in a minute. So this is all stuff that it's not all going to be used at the same time, but most of the stuff will get used throughout the year. So again, it's right where we need it. This is probably the main desk, I guess you will. Anything we assemble, we usually assemble it on here. We have another table there, but pretty much all final prep before we install anything will go on right here. This is rear end that goes in our 1.5 car, so this is, thank goodness, the last rear end for the year that we have to assemble and install. And then again, this is all pretty much common sense. So let's just walk up here and we'll go upstairs. There's not a whole lot of room up here. Most of the stuff is actually open wheel stuff from back when Don would run midgets and sprint cars, and actually I don't think they really ran sprints much, but between that and the silver crown and midgets. So a lot of this stuff is open wheel stuff, but we do still have some of the old springs and stuff like that we're not using. So this is kind of, obviously being upstairs, if you don't want to use something, if you're not going to use it, it's going to come up here. And you have to come up here hunting, you're looking pretty hard.
Yeah.
And this is it, but it gives you a really cool shot of the whole shop.
It does. I don't think we can come up here and look at the midget stuff without talking about the midgets over there on the other side.
Yeah, honestly, I feel, it kind of bums me out that I never, I raced quarter midgets, but it's really not the same thing as really being an open wheel racer.
Right.
And I love doing the stock car stuff, but I wish I had some sort of background in the open wheel. Probably would have loved to do at least some of the dirt stuff. Especially, after I've known these guys, they love it, and so I watch a lot of the dirt midget stuff now.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know, it's just really cool.
Yeah.
And it's not long races, and it's a lot of competition, and it's really cool stuff. I wish I would have been able to do some more of that growing up, racing through the years, but I definitely can't complain. I just wish I had a little background in it.
Yeah.
So it was like, that was the thing that was funny in 2018 when we went to the dirt races. The whole year, it just kept getting brought up every now and then. Well, when the dirt races come, you really need to just, listen to what we're telling you. We know how we got to run the show, and don't get too worked up over it. But then they kept mentioning it. So I'm like, man, this must be harder than what it looks. And so I got a little nervous, but I kept myself kind of composed, and it was challenging for sure. I was surprised how well I was able to pick it up. I was nervous as hell.
Yeah.
So I was just not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, because you were leading there at DuQuoin for a while.
Yeah. Springfield, we had a car capable of leading.
Yeah.
I was not capable of doing it in Springfield. But Springfield, it's a one-day show. You get one practice. It's so fast. And so I wasn't prepared on Springfield race day, understandably.
Right.
But it really eased me because it wasn't, I wasn't out of control. I wasn't hitting the wall and all that stuff. So so it kind of calmed me down for DuQuoin. And we went to DuQuoin, and just being relaxed, I think, really helped. And again, we had a car capable of winning. And even had we not been wrecked, I don't know if I would have been quite able to pull it off against, CV was pretty good that day.
Yeah.
And, I think Christian Eckes was really fast in DuQuoin. But we were going to definitely have a top 3. And that would have been a huge statement, I think, for our team. And it really would help us cap off the season, I think. But it's still, a lot of people have mentioned when they say, well, how did 18 go? Most people bring up the dirt races and say that was pretty cool. So, and most people didn't realize that ARCA raced on dirt.
Yeah.
So it's a cool thing. I'm glad we do it. I wish we did the road course still.
Yeah.
But that would probably really cause me problems. So that's pretty much it. I mean, we have this corner here is our parts cleaner and stuff, but that's the whole shop. Again, we spend a lot of time here. We pretty much work 7 days a week, pretty much every week of the year, and we put in some long hours. But we, as a group, we kind of love doing it. One thing you won't ever hear out of any of us is complaining about what we, how much time we put in, because. I'm speaking on my own for myself, but I know this applies to the other two. We really wouldn't have them the other way. So it makes it rewarding too when you finally start to succeed. And again, we haven't won a race together yet, but we've really brought our level up from the beginning of 18 until now. And I think that as this year goes on, you're going to see some cool stuff. So.
Oh yeah, and the effort definitely shows. I mean, you guys being such a small team, you have such great results. I don't think a lot of people would expect a team this small to be running as well as you are.
Well, I think you're kind of right, but at the same time, I don't think a lot of people realize, the average person might walk into this shop and say, well, this is huge, this is insane. And it is. That's true. And so we don't look at it as negative in any way. But then when people kind of see what some of the other teams have access to, they're like, wow, you guys do a lot with what you have. And again, we don't look at it as we're any lesser than those teams. But we do have to do things just a little different. We were talking about the location. So like for us being in Indiana, the location's nice when we travel because most stuff's pretty close. The only problem with the location really ever is just, everyone else in this league, if you will, is 8 or 9 hours from here.
Right.
And so if you need anything, it's not quick to get it. And really that's probably the only downside to it, which is not a huge problem. But it is different. You have to kind of plan for things. You can't run into an issue the day before the race and run down the street to SRI Performance and pick up something, or you can't call up Draco Springs and get a spring the next day if it's on their shelf, because you just can't. It's not here. So, but really that's a challenge that we know we have, so we have to plan for it, and kind of helps us because normally we're ahead of schedule on anything like that. We make sure we have everything we need. So it works out good. It's really challenging sport, man, and it's really challenging business to be in, but it's a lot of fun. So
yeah,
as you know.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess I didn't really mention, but so we have a trailer, and this is a toter home. So most teams have a trailer, but they just have a semi pulling it. So this thing actually you know, it's like a regular motorhome. It has has beds in it, has a kitchen and bathroom and all that. So when we're traveling, it's kind of more convenient than most. We can lay down in there and take a nap if we need to. Or
So do you actually stay there on race weekends, or do you get a hotel?
We get hotels,
Okay.
but it is nice. Like there's times when things may happen on the road where you blow a tire late at night, or just for whatever reason it's a late night. You know, if some person's tired, they can lay down, take a nap for a while, then wake back up and kind of support the other person that's driving. So, which I personally do not drive the rig. Dan Casey drives the rig. Get that out there. I don't have the proper credentials for driving the rig, but I think it's cool. And you know, on race day, that stays in the pits. So it's kind of nice. We can go in there if we ever need to, just to chill for a second. You know, team owners Don and Misty, they need a place to relax. They have it, and it's separate from the trailer, which is kind of more open to the public. You know, and it's nice. And at times we have guests, and we can take them in there and they can relax. So it's very nice. It's honestly a better setup, I think, than having the standard, you know, the big trailer with just a semi.
Right.
I kind of prefer this. I think that's it, guys.
And thanks for joining us on this race shop tour from RFMS Racing. Look for more of these coming soon from other teams. If you haven't done it already, you need to go down below, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. While you're down there, why don't you hit that big thumbs up button if you like the video. It's much appreciated when you do. But at that, this has been an RNN race shop tour. As always, I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.